So, thank you, and we're looking forward to sponsoring, along with RSM, the fourth Lions Den. It's really exciting for Kozer and Connor because the first Lions Den was at the conference that we helped co-chair, and along with Mark Letterman of NewSpring and Dean Miller of PACT, helped create the concept of the Lions Den. So to finally be sponsoring it is exciting for Kozer and Connor. Dean wanted me to mention that for people who are on the sides and in the back, there was a lot of room up on the balcony if you want to go up to the balcony and get a better view of the Lions Den. RSM and Cozen will participate and provide free legal services to the companies that get sponsored up to certain limits. And we have some great Lions this year that you'll meet in a video in a second, but one of them is Michael Foreman, who's my former law partner turned very successful entrepreneur. Richard Vague, Mike Hagan, and Jonathan Brassington. So we have a great group of Lions here too. So without further ado, enjoy the Lions Den.
And I'm in for 50 at 5.
Okay.
I'm in for 100 contingent on my regulatory consultant
Fair enough.
verifying your regulatory path forward.
500. Absolutely.
I'm in for 50.
I got a 50.
50, 50, and 100. We got 200,
I'm in for 100.
300.
I lost track. Okay.
So we got 300 on the table. 304 Lions so
And
far.
I'm in for 50.
350 in all 5 Lions.
So what are you in for, 50? You're in for 200, huh? Yeah. I'll do 50 with you.
You have 300
Why
on
not?
the
I'll do
table
50
for
with you.
this 6, but you need to know now because I got to get the next company up.
Right,
here.
right.
Yes?
How quick can
Or
you
no?
close?
How quick? These guys are good for it. They're good for
All right, I'll
it.
take that.
All right.
I'll take that.
I'll do 100,000 on those terms.
100,000. We're up to 600. Anyone else interested?
I mean, if you can get me comfortable with the revenue ramp and the tech, I'll throw in 50.
If
Just to bribe his kids.
But how much would you be in
if
for?
due
if you convinced
diligence
him?
confirms kind of what you're saying, I'll do 100.
100, so
So
we're...
that's 750. So we're short on the.
No, we're not short. That's plenty good. You got other folks out there. We can
Understood.
close this for you. Doesn't that make sense? You can
Yeah,
give
we're
us
trying
that
to hit
20%.
$1 million to get the 20% warrant coverage.
I think you might only get 750, so you'll have to decide if you want that deal.
All right. 750 is on the table.
You guys want to talk about it, or you want to?
Can we do 800 and we'll give you the 20%?
750.
Rudy, you can throw in another.
And we're
50,
gonna do it. Remember, we've done
I'll
4
round
deals.
up.
I'll round up to 100. We
All
got
right,
800.
fine.
We got
All right,
800.
there
All
you
right,
go.
we'll do it.
Done. Yeah.
Nice job, Mike.
Welcome to the Lions Den, PAC's Lions Den, where big ideas connect with big money. Meet our Lions. Jonathan A. Brassington, CEO, Liquid Hub, a Capgemini company.
Investing in a company or idea is like delving into the unknown. You have to have a sixth sense about what feels right, and you have to look beyond what appears on the surface. Your best approach is to lay it all out, but to be sure that there's no hidden surprises, because I'll be looking.
Michael C. Foreman, Chairman and CEO, Franklin Square Capital Partners.
We live in a region that has lots of wonderful opportunities. The university think tanks married with thoughtful investors. It's part of our past and an even bigger part of our future. There's no need to look anywhere else because the next big idea may be right in front of you.
Michael Hagan, Managing Partner, Hawk Capital Partners.
It's not about hunting down your prey. You do have to take that hawk-like approach when first considering an investment. Get me interested in what you're trying to do, and once I'm on board,
Richard Vague, Managing Partner, Gabriel Investments.
Forming successful partnerships between investors and entrepreneurs is really a creative process. From the idea to the different ways to get a deal done, it's truly an art form. Just be sure you have a vision of the picture you're painting.
Arlen Hamilton, Founder and Managing Partner, Backstage Capital, CEO and Co-Founder, Backstage Studio. Our Lions are on the hunt for the next big idea. Are you ready to enter the Lions Den? PAC's Lions Den. Please welcome our Lions. Jonathan Brassington, Michael C. Foreman, Michael Hagan, Arlen Hamilton, Richard Vague, and our moderator, Mr. Mark Letterman.
That was intense.
The tension is palatable. All right. Well, first of all, thank you all for coming this afternoon. As many of you know who've been in the conference for the last few years, this has now become our capstone event at the end of the conference. We've had 36 companies present today, and we've carefully watched them throughout the day, talked to the various Lions, some of the other advisors, and we've selected 3 companies to enter the Lion's Den tonight. For those who haven't seen it in the past, this is a real-life Shark Tank. Unlike the TV show, which they may film for an hour and edit it down to 15 minutes, each of the companies here today will get just 15 minutes as we're keeping you between this event and the bar behind you. So we will keep it moving. And in that 15 minutes, they will present to the Lions. The Lions will have a chance to ask them various questions. There'll be an ask from the presenting company for a certain investment. And as you saw in some of the pre-roll video, there'll be a negotiation, and hopefully some of the companies here will walk away with a commitment for capital. This is our 4th year doing it. So we've had 9 companies the previous 3 years present, and each year 2 of the 3 companies happen to secure financing from the Lions, as you saw there. In some cases, very meaningful capital, like $800,000 in 15 minutes on stage here just last year. So there's real money on the line, and with that, we'll get started. So after looking through the 36 companies that presented today, and there was a lot of good companies to choose from, we did hone in on 3 companies to present. We have Infant Ear by Talix Medical, Grovara, and MNI. And with that, I will invite our first presenting company up to the stage, and please join me in welcoming Kimberly Coffey from Infant Ear by Talix Medical.
Thank you.
Guys, you'll be able to see the slides down there.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for PACT for allowing me to be one of the featured companies. I appreciate that. So my name is Kim Coffey, and I am the president of Talix Medical, the proud producer of Infant Ear. And I am a registered nurse. I'm also a medical device executive, previously with DePuy Synthes Johnson & Johnson, with proven success in bringing not only clinically necessary products, but profitable products. I have experience in product development, sales leadership, marketing, and training. So what is Infant Ear? Infant Ear is an innovative new device. It non-surgically corrects ears in infancy, thus preventing surgical procedures or bullying. You can take an ear like this in the first few weeks of life when the ears are very pliable, and putting on a simple mold or prosthetic splint for 2 weeks, you can correct the architecture of the ear, permanently affecting and allowing them to have a lifetime of a corrected ear. The clinical problem is a large number of children are affected by this. 30% is cited in the literature in the United States, and up to 58% in China and some of the other Asian countries. And the results of this are that kids are being bullied, that are not having any kind of treatment, and unnecessary, costly, and often challenging surgical procedures are being performed. The 3 children below are all seeking surgical intervention, which easily could have been resolved with ear molding. So our solution is Infant Ear, again, non-surgical, office-based molding system. And it supports the value proposition that we have, which is the triple aim of healthcare, which is what we're all about. Improved outcomes. If you take a child early on, again, because of the maternal estrogen, it makes their ears very malleable in the first 6 weeks of life, and you have very compliant parents, so you have favorable outcomes. Increased satisfaction. These parents are happy. They've avoided surgery or potentially their child having self-esteem issues going through puberty. And decreased cost. Obviously, this is way cheaper than in surgical procedures, often reimbursable. None of these surgical procedures are reimbursable. So it's a very large market opportunity. The US incidence, there's over 1 million ears that are affected in the US. Our target is very large. It's over 100,000 different providers. Mainly, that group is pediatricians and neonatologists. Why? Because they see the child first. They're the perfect position to recognize, diagnose, and treat it right there in their office without referring them on to a plastic surgeon. But secondarily, plastic surgeons and ENTs are the ones that do the procedures now, and they do them often, and between them and private practice and hospitals, that also remains a target of us, as well as the nurse practitioners and PAs that are a part of those practices. Our list price is $550 per kit, and we're anticipating an average selling price of $400. We have very nice high margins that continue to grow, and we estimate the global market to be about $2.1 billion. So our proven results is that we've done this in a limited release for the past 12 months. We've had incredible success. We've treated over 300 ears successfully, and that's been done by pediatricians, plastic surgeons, nurse practitioners, and physician's assistants in over 10 sites. With that feedback, we realize we need another influx of capital investment to optimize the product and the production, as well as also expand very robustly our market. We've started with a lot of plastic surgeons. We're going more into the pediatric market, and we need different tools and robust marketing to get to all of those physicians across the country. And then as well as the B2B we're doing, as well as B2C, allowing the consumers to be aware and bring this to their pediatricians, and the pediatricians bring that to them. We also want, obviously, more feet on the ground. Sales and distribution are a big part of this. We would like to be able to expand across the US with this, and so these are the 3 areas that we really feel we need the investment for. Once that strategy is proven out, we carry that globally. So the reason believe is that this works. It is the best option for the parents and the patients if treated early. Again, it's so simple that it's kind of surprising that it works, but it does. And that's the beauty of it. That's our business model, is the simplicity of the design, the elegance, but the simplicity. And it's the best treatment option. Secondly, it's a great financial incentive for the pediatrician. They're the lowest paid of all of the clinicians for the most part. And this is important for them not to have to refer this on. They can recognize it, diagnose it, treat it right there in their office setting. On average, $2,400 reimbursement is what they're getting for doing 2 ears, minus the cost of the kits and their labor. If they treated just 1 child, that adds an extra $63,000 into their pocket annually. Competition, we all have competition. Competition makes us stronger, it makes us better. Infineer was designed because of the shortcomings of Earwell. And we looked at a lot of the different variables here, but the top 3 are the ones that really resonated with us. And the first was the ease of use and single use. Earwell comes in 1 large capital purchase box of about $4,000. A bunch of stuff jumbled in there. That's their entry level. It treats 12 ears. Again, there's a lot of waste. We came up with a single-use kit. You use it, you throw it away. No capital expenditure, very easy for the pediatricians to acquire. A $4,000 kit is very difficult for them to acquire. The custom fit, they have 2 sizes, medium and large. If you have a 2-week-old baby, it's very hard to try to make the ear fit their mold. Ours are all custom. Every single one, whether it's 2 weeks or 2 months, our device is all custom made for that child. And comfort and safety. This is a big thing, especially for me being a nurse, is I want to make sure that this is the right thing for this particular patient. And we found with some of their device, they're hard materials, they're bulky, and also they have a cap that snaps into place that causes sometimes pressure necrosis and skin breakdown. We use soft silicone and Velcro where you don't have that concern. Our team is a big part of our success. We have an incredibly patient-focused, dedicated, cohesive group of not only clinical but business professionals. Starting with Dr. Scott Bartlett, who is the inventor of Infineer. He's the former chief of plastic and reconstructive surgery at Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, with over 30 years of experience in reconstruction of the head, the neck, the face, and certainly the ear. His name his network is worldwide, as is the CHOP name, which is a big part of who we have a licensing agreement with. The other esteemed group of colleagues have successfully, with decades of experience, brought products to market. And the last gentleman on the end is Dr. Julio Guerra. He's a pediatrician that is a customer, also an advisor and a consultant in helping us branch out and really tackle the pediatric market. Our current status, funding to date, we have $80,000 of self-funds. We also applied for and received the grant from the Philadelphia Pediatric Device Consortium of $50,000. And last summer, we closed our seed round with BioAdvance at $500,000. We have a CHOP license agreement, as I said. Our patent is recognized in Europe and Australia, and it's pending in the US, Japan, and Canada. We also have a trademark, registered mark of approval for infant ear. So in our limited release over the last 12 months, we've sold over 300 units, and we have over $170,000 in sales. We anticipate our full launch to be next month. So we are looking for $1 million investment. We feel we would get to the revenue much quicker, much faster, and be able to expand across the US and then eventually globally. And we feel the product enhancements are a big part of that, as well as sales and distribution, getting more feet on the ground and moving this forward, and a very robust marketing, education, and training plan. Our financial projections show our revenue going forward, and with our limited release, we've been able to control our cost of goods sold, and we also have been able to increase our gross margin. With cash positive, anticipated for January 2019. So we have very satisfied and very happy providers, and they're enthusiastic, and also, most importantly, parents. They're thrilled, they're ecstatic, they're very happy with this new product. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your time and for your attention. Infant ear is the right solution for an unmet clinical need. We have a very large market opportunity. We have great margins. We have proven our success in our limited release and reimbursement for our clinician. So with the additional funding, we feel we will be able to not only expand our US landscape, but enter that global arena. Thank you very much for your attention.
So you're looking for?
So we're looking for $1 million with a $10 million valuation.
So Kim, a very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Other than Earwell and surgery, are there any other competitors out there that are addressing this issue?
There's two other competitors that are both, they're literally just like a two-way tape, and they're very ineffective. They're brought over the internet for the consumer. Earwell is probably the one that I consider our main competitor. They've been in the market the longest, and again, their shortcomings are significant. Dr. Bartlett actually used their product and felt it inferior, and actually spoke with them and looked at trying to do some changes, and they really weren't interested in changing.
Does your product treat all deformities, or are they just certain types that you have the efficacy to?
Well, if we can put up that last slide, you can look at some of the different deformities. So there's two different types of ear deformities. There's malformations, where not all of the ear is present, so it might be a small little piece and it has to be reconstructed. Those we don't treat. It's more of a deformation. So all the parts are there, they're just not shaped properly. They're either bent or they're prominent. They could be a Stahl's ear, like the one on the left. If any of you are Spock fans, that actually has a clinical diagnosis. It's called a Stahl's ear. And it comes to a point. So these are all amendable to ear molding.
How did you come up with the price point? To me, it's just a little low if you expect to go direct to consumer or get the pediatricians excited about moving the product. It sounds like Earwell is priced at several $1,000s. You have a lot of room. You have IP protecting your product. Why wouldn't you get a little more aggressive? Because it's a big issue. If you have the efficacy that you claim it does, I would expect you to be able to price it accordingly, rather than $500 to fix something that is going to have a lifelong benefit.
Well, we want to do what the market will pay. So, as I said, the the Earwell kit is a purchase of that capital expenditure, but that will treat 12 ears. So, again, we have to make sure that we are priced competitively. And that's where, it's not $4,000 per ear for them. It's $4,000 for a kit that will treat 12 kids. So that's why we're actually priced a little bit higher than them, but our outcomes and I feel our product is superior. They also advocate using it 2 to 3 times. And our big thing is if we can get that child treated in the first 2 weeks of life, it's one treatment. Maybe we'll leave it on 2 to 3 weeks, but that's it. So again, that's going to obviously add into their bottom line if they have to keep paying for additional kits.
Will you be able to get a patent in Asia?
We're pending in Japan right now, and we actually
China
are pretty,
in particular, I guess.
China, we do not have a patent in China.
Do you have plans to extend?
But we're not worried about that because I've come from the medical device world. We had very complex distractors that we used to sell. I used to work with Synthes, and within 24 hours they replicated it in a shop somewhere, and they just sold right through our patents.
Do you have plans to extend the product line since your TAM isn't?
We do. We've actually, and that's one of the beauty that we've had over this last 12 months with our limited release, is we've been able to look at, some of the pediatricians said, it would be nice if you added a little helical guide. Great, we're going to do that. Some of the plastic surgeons said, well, some of those products in there the pediatrician needs, we don't need. Can we make a smaller kit? Yes, we're looking at those kind of options. We're looking at a better adhesive because we use a liquid adhesive. We're looking at a better adhesive that has incredible results right now. So we are doing some enhancements and some other things with the product. There's a conchal former that we're looking at bringing in. So yes, there's also, Dr. Bartlett has a host of other ideas that we would like to bring in under the Talix Medical name and be able to bring them to market.
So tell us about your plan of distribution for the product.
What's that?
What's your plan of distribution? How are you going to get the product into the market?
Well, our distribution, we have a couple different things. So one of the things right now that we're doing is direct. We're selling direct to customers. We also have online.
Customers being the doctors.
Yes, we sell to private offices, hospitals. We sell to pediatricians. Like I said, some of the nurse practitioners or the PAs in different practices are using it, and then they're purchasing it through there. So we do direct. We have online ordering capability. We have had customers order through there. We also are signing up distributors, and we're working with some independent contractors around the country, as well as a distributor right now down in Virginia, who has capability of 15 different states. So we're working through that right now.
So you've got a target of 5,000 clinicians in 2019. You're asking for half of the 500,000 or half of your $1 million raise to go towards sales. How confident are you in hitting that touch point of 5,000 clinicians?
I think with the $1 million that we're able to raise, we will be able to do that. I think robust marketing to the pediatricians is really, really important. Most of our experience in limited release has been with plastic surgeons, so I think that's a big push for us because they see the child first. So that is definite, having more salespeople on the ground, and training, that's a big part of this, and making sure that they're comfortable.
Explain the license agreement with CHOP. Do they get a % of revenues?
They do. They get 4% royalty, and they have, like, we also, the IP, they own the IP, so we have to pay back 20% a year on the IP costs.
20% of what, the revenues?
Of the IP. So we have to pay them 4% royalty is what we have to pay them upon a release of commercial sale. Now, we haven't paid them yet. We're actually going to be paying them next month because they agreed to allow us to go through a limited release for a year, kind of not a test market, but a friends and family, a smaller release. And then next month we'll start to pay them the royalty and part of the patent cost.
Is the million separate from the 500 that you've raised? Or is it included?
500 was the seed round we did last summer, which got us to where we are right now, and then we need an additional $1 million. So,
And
Series A.
is any of that committed so far or soft circled?
We have not, yeah.
Okay.
No.
So can you walk us through your valuation, how you got to the $10 million pre?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we had a convertible note with BioAdvance. We had a cap of 4.5, and we're expecting 200,000 at the end of this year. We expect to grow by the end of next year to 2 million, and we feel that 10 times that amount is where we came up with the 10 million. And even forward projection at 2 million, times, we figured 4 to 5 times that would get us at 10 million. There's also a huge opportunity here and globally. As I told you, there's an article out of China that talks about 58% incidence of this. So more than half of the kids have some kind of an ear anomaly that easily could be corrected.
All right, so we're at the point now where I have to look to the Lions and say she's made an ask. You obviously can negotiate, not negotiate if you're interested, but we've got to move the process on. I don't know, is anyone interested in potentially making an offer to invest some portion of the $1 million at either her valuation or a counter?
I would just suggest you make this a Series Seed rather than a Series A. The valuation looks all right to me, but the Series Seed is where it should be.
I'm sorry.
The Series Seed should be that could be your pre-seed or your friends and family seed.
Thank you.
Just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Anyone interested?
All right. So if she did that, would you be making an offer?
I don't know if I can right now. I don't know if I know enough about the person who invented this. You're not that person, correct?
Dr. Bartlett?
Right,
Yes.
right. I don't know if I know about that, and I don't. For me, I don't know if the market here is large enough. That's why I was asking about other products, because you mentioned that it was $400 million in the U.S. and $2 billion worldwide.
$2 billion worldwide.
Right, yeah. So I think if I saw maybe a line of things that were coming out, that would be more interesting to me.
Well, like I said, we do have enhancements to the product, and then there's at least 3 other products. Actually, my Chief Technology Officer is right here, Brian Griffiths, as is my COO, Mary Schaefer, and he's actually working on a lot of different product ideas that we would love to fold into this.
Has there been a time where it didn't work? Like out of the 300, was there a default rate?
No. It works. It really does. The only thing, like I said, sometimes a child will come to us, and that's the issue. They come to a plastic surgeon, they might not get referred till week 4 or 5. And generally 6 weeks is where the estrogen levels are high, and they actually go up for 3 weeks and then they start to go down. So you really need to start that treatment and try to complete that treatment in that 6 weeks time. If you start at say 4 or 5 weeks, you certainly can get improved results. You might not make a 4 at 10, but you might make 4 and 8, and you have to be very specific with your parents that and build the expectations. And you might have to put it on 2 times or 3 times. A lot of times we would come in with Dr. Bartlett and he'd take the device off, and the parents would say, "Put it on again."
Can you tell me what your role is again?
I'm the president of the company.
President of the company, and do you have a significant amount of equity in the company? A significant amount of equity in the company?
I do.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
I'd be willing to talk offline about doing something around 50 to 100 from our fund.
Okay. I'd be happy to do that.
Moving forward, yeah.
Well, if there's no offers, then we're going to have to, which I hate that part of my job, but it's part of my moderating responsibility. So if speak now or forever hold your peace. Going once, twice. Well, Kim, thank you very much. I really appreciate you. Thank you. And we'll connect you with Arlen offline. All right. Tough crowd of Lions this year. We'll have to see.
Mark, I'd like to comment and say that I think it's a wonderful product. I'm thrilled that there's a solution like this. I'm thrilled that so many parents and children are going to have such good outcomes. The valuation was just not just a little bit, but a lot beyond what I think was appropriate for the stage of the company.
That's it. Look, part of making any deal is liking the company, but also liking the investment, and sometimes those two things don't intersect. But
there's still time to continue raising on that same note, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Might do that.
But for now, we're going to move to the next chapter. We have our second company, Grovara, and I'd like to welcome to the stage Peter Groverman. He's got a fan club. All right.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Sharks, Lions, guys.
The lawyers don't let us call them Sharks. Trademark violation.
I brought some little promo materials you can pass down here if you don't mind for me. Some product. Yeah, Lions. All right. My name is Peter Groverman. I am the CEO of Grovara. Grovara is a B2B international distribution group. We have created a platform that streamlines and facilitates the international distribution of U.S. manufactured wellness products like this organic coconut kale apple spinach drink, or these organic Swedish fish in front of you. Basically, we make export easy for these American brands, and we've created a B2B platform that is streamlining all the processes. Our partners are Spins. We have a strategic partnership with Spins. Spins is a data conglomerate. Basically, they know who's buying what, where they're buying it, how often, etc. They're investors and strategic partners, and they're, one of their executives is on our board now and helping us create a data arbitrage opportunity so we know what's selling here in America and can get those products overseas to the international buyers even before the international buyers have had a chance to even see or know about these brands. So let's hop into it. Basically, the opportunity for what we're doing is gigantic. There is, expected by 2020 to be $1 trillion plus in basically revenues being generated from B2B platforms. And our platform is a platform that's starting with the wellness category, again, hyper-focus, being specialists, not necessarily generalists, on the natural foods and beverage space. We did this deliberately because there's a direct correlation between the rising middle classes overseas and the demand for American manufactured products, specifically wellness goods overseas. And we think that's a great niche, and it's already proven out to be a great niche to start with. What's really fascinating is some of the problems here are 94% of US manufacturers do not export. And you might be saying, well, why not? And the short answer is because exporting is hard. There's a lot of technical aspects that go into taking even these healthy food candies here global. You have logistics, you have sales, you have marketing, you have product registrations, etc. And most American entrepreneurs don't think global because we've got a great market here. But the reality is the middle class overseas and the opportunity abroad is gigantic and only scaling and growing. And these American brands need to learn about these opportunities. And that's part of the reason why we're here. The way we do it is we've taken that B2C feel. So you got this standard profile, in this case, for Wholesome Sweeteners agave syrup. We've taken this B2C feel and we turn it into a B2B platform play. It's everything you're imagining it is. The brands can come in, can identify their SKUs, they can list the minimum order quantities, the price points, the pickup locations, all the necessary requirements that they need to manage their international business. The buyers can come in, they actually can, no different than buying domestically, can build their shopping cart and go through the procedures and processes to bring their brands into their country, or bring the brands into their countries, the registrations, the fulfillment, the marketing, the sales. It really is an end-to-end solution for both ends of the spectrum's international distribution and fulfillment. And in between, of course, we take care of the logistics and the supply chain as well. The team is made up of myself and my business partner, Abu. There he is. Say hi, Abu. The two of us have been doing international business for 8 years. We've been doing Grovara, focusing on wellness products, for 5. We've become experts in the space. We're really fortunate and blessed to have Michael Crossy. Where's Mike? He's somewhere. There he is. Michael Crossy from Bear Crossy, who's helped us create these proprietary systems and methods to go global. Basically, we had an outsider's perspective, saw inefficiencies in the international trading world, and came in and basically redid it. And did it the way we think makes the most sense, and now we're using technology to do so. Our advisory team and investor network is incredibly well stacked. Many of you might know David Pottruck, former CEO Charles Schwab, investor advisor. Peter Albert from TL is on the team. Sri Kote, former CTO of Comcast, is helping advise on the technical aspects, also investment. And of course, we got David doing finances, but Matt Merson is my favorite. Matt was one of the founders of Zico Coconut Water and Vitamin Water, has been in and out of Coke, and he's the industry expert who's really helping us master and dominate the wellness category and space. The brands that we're working right now are outrageously awesome. We've got $6 billion in domestic sales for all of our brands. So, and what that means is basically these brands like J&J Snacks, publicly traded company, we are now their exclusive international partner for several of their brands and growing. GT's Kombucha, is anyone like GT's Kombucha in here? Yeah, okay, good. Kombucha's on the rise. We're the exclusive international partner for GT's. The way we work is we get the rights for these brands internationally, and we just manage the business. We are the end-to-end solution for them. Buyers. The buyers for us are like Starbucks Middle East, North Africa, Cencosud South America, Walmart Central America, Tesco UK, Carrefour Middle East. These are the big retailers that make up our buyer network. We've got around 5,000 buying partner leads in 45 countries. We haven't even begun the source and follow up and do our diligence and follow up with everyone, but there's a lot of demand for what we're doing is kind of what I'm getting at. And the people we're playing with are top notch. There's really not many competitors in the international space, but those that are in don't have what we have. The biggest thing is spins. That is the #1 differentiator between us and anyone else out there in the wellness space. No one else has the data that we have, and these buyers, instead of going out and coming to a trade show or coming to America and walking around the supermarket and being like, oh, this would look good in the shelf of Starbucks, and then they try it, and then they reach out to the manufacturer, and then 94% of these manufacturers, they reach out to you, say no more of that anymore. We do all the vetting, and basically using SPINS' data, we're able to identify the leaders of the brand leaders in their different categories. Top coconut waters, top protein bars, top kombuchas, and then we reach out to them and basically de-risk the whole process for both the buyers and the brands too, because a lot of the time the brands have no clue who Mohammed from Dubai is, and in fact that name scares me. I don't want to do business. They just write off this guy who could be an incredible buying partner for them, which is kind of interesting. But otherwise, what differentiates us is the model. We've taken the whole B2B model and kind of facilitated and streamlined it and made it pretty unique and extraordinary. Basically, with all B2B technologies, there's a lot of revenue streams. We've got several already, and then we're only going to continue to scale as we grow the business. But basically, subscription services, we have brands paying to be in our catalog. We have buyers now who pay us a markup. We take title. It's flash title. Basically, as long as it takes for the wires to transfer, that's as long as we own the product. We never physically touch the goods. We have third-party logistics who go through and actually do the whole fulfillment for us. But there's incredible opportunities once you have the marketplace up and running. Basically, brands right now, really interesting. Brands are paying us $25,000 up front to be in our catalog. That's our starting price. And by the time those brands have hit $500,000 in sales, those brands will have paid Grovara $115,000 to be in our catalog, at which point they don't pay us anything ever again. We make our margins then from the other revenue streams. The other thing that's really interesting, I want to call to your attention, are the termination provisions. In the event Purity Organic says, hey, listen, Grovara, it's not working out, we want to wind down the relationship. It's a 12-month wind down. At the end of the 12-month wind down, a 2-year non-circumvent non-compete, which means at the point of termination, we still work with these brands for 3 years, unless we get bought out. And that's extraordinary because we're not brokers, we're partners with these brands, and that's how we expect to be treated, and that's how we position ourselves. What's gotten us to this point is the government. Your tax dollars are being used wisely to help promote the distribution and sale of American brands abroad, and that story is not being told. Basically, the services that are available for any brand in America that go abroad are extraordinary. One actual program is called the Branded Program. It's underneath the Commerce Department, underneath the foodexport.gov. And what the Branded Program is it basically pays for 50% of all your marketing expenses overseas. And you get the travel, and 50% of that's basically compensated as well. So we're traveling the world, buy one, get one free in some cases. In any case, that's only one program, and the government has done a great job vetting our buying partners and helping us really learn the industry to get to where we are today. SPINS has been great. Their data that they're providing us pulls back the curtain and gives us total insight and transparency into how our brands are doing domestically. And then we aggregate that information, present it to the international buyers. We provide them these scorecards, and so the buyers can now make metric-based decisions opposed to that guts and feel. And like I was saying before, no one's doing this before. We're on every continent on the planet. We're now distributing actively. We've done, since inception, we've done $7 million gross. That number is growing exponentially, and it's our goal to expand into complementary verticals, going from food and beverage today, easily expanding into health and beauty, supplements, pet products, home goods, etc. The model's the same, the software is the same, the buyers might be different, and the brands might be different, but ultimately we'll get to that point, and that's kind of our intention. The projections and everything that we're doing is looking great. We're growing, we're hoping to grow by 3x by next year. By 2020, if we're doing under $40 million in gross sales, I will be surprised. These B2B technologies are very formidable, and we're doing a very good job carving out ourselves in the niche. One of the most interesting things up here is the proprietary products. Proprietary products basically means that we're not working with the brands to create custom SKUs. So if this has to go over to Canada, they have to put this into French labeling. We're working with the brands to help them create these proprietary products, even in some cases putting the Grovara seal and mark and our logo on these brands. It's helping grow our brand abroad. This is great too because the brands then provide us better margins, and you can imagine the more intricate we get with the brands, the better it is for our brand as well. We're raising $3 million in Series A starting in Q1. That's at least our target. Right now we've got an open round. $500,000 has been is the current round that's going to bridge us to the Series A. We have $250,000 already pledged from our previous angels, and we're looking to basically have I'm here today to talk to the Lions for that additional $250,000 at a $7 million pre-money. However, we're putting a warrant in where if you invest over $100,000, then we'll drop that pre-money valuation to $6 million. Basically, ideal partners for us in general are anyone who's in the logistics space, who wants to diversify from asset-heavy inventories to a technology play. Logistics groups, technology groups, Alibaba, Amazon, these types of organizations are looking to expand globally, and private equity groups who've got this CPG catalogs and portfolios where they need help going global. That's where we come into play. My name is Peter Groverman. I will take any questions or answers from anyone in the audience, but right now my focus is on you.
Peter's looking to raise $250 to round out a $500,000 round, but I'll open up for questions.
So, Peter, just walk us through your product pipeline. What's in the pipeline? How do you see that rolling out going forward?
Yeah, let me go back to that slide real quick. So the pipeline, we've got two sides mainly. You've got the brand side of the equation, which is actually really exciting. I can announce today that Polar Beverage, $600 million in domestic sales, signed their contract. They're now part of our Grovara portfolio, which is extraordinary. And that was a big win. But we've got probably around 20 brands now in the pipeline that will close over the next 6 months. And the other thing I should also add is we don't really have a sales team. It's Abu, myself, we got a logistics person. The funds are going to go to help us build our sales team, our marketing team, our tech team. But on the brand side, there's no shortage of brands that want to work with us, especially now that we've got such a good Rolodex and proof of concept for these other brands that we're scaling. On the buyer side, it's no different. The only thing we're missing right now are funds to scale the business and get the sales teams in play. I hope that answers your question.
So what is your EBITDA going to be in 18, and what do you project in 19?
In regards to gross sales?
No, I'm talking about EBITDA.
All right. So basically, 18 to 19. I think our net is right now averaging at 15%. I think this year, if we do $4 million in sales, which is kind of what I'm hoping at, it'll be there.
I'm trying to get a sense of actual dollars. Yeah. How much will you lose or make this year, and lose or make next year?
Yeah, I think we'll break even in about 2 months. Abu, would you say that? About 2 or 3 months we'll break even, and I can get back to you with the exact numbers.
Was that $325K you said you brought in quarter one? $325K you brought in quarter one in revenue? That was on your slide?
I'm sorry, I can't hear
you.
$375.
375.
Correct.
And then there's, what is it, 32 buyers? So does that mean?
And that's for Q1.
Understand. So does that mean, because you were saying before that they pay $25,000 to come in, does that mean that you gave them a discount?
So to clarify also, the brands right now, we just, 10 of the 12 brands that we now have under contract are grandfathered in and have not paid the $25,000.
Okay.
They're all different contracts. Getting to this point, as of last week, we introduced the new pricing model for the brands.
Okay, so they're paying about $10K each, or what were they paying?
About, yeah, and if they're not paying cash in advance, then they're providing discounts on accruals or discounts off future orders.
Okay.
So Peter, walk me through your revenue model again. I think I'm going to get back to what Richard was asking you, but you're on a run rate to do about $3.5 million this year in top line. And since you essentially own it for a second, you're booking the gross.
Right.
What sticks to the pipe for you? Is it 15% what you just said? So the real revenues would be roughly $500,000. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what are the real revenues for your business that cover your operating expenses and, you know, go back to shareholders once you make some money?
Yeah, so, and I'll clarify something else as well, too, is the technology is not launched yet. The technology is B2B platform that's going to automate all of our manual processes. I kind of should have made that clear. Everything we're doing now is manual. Boo is coordinating all the logistics, all the emails. If there's a price change, we are literally sending out an email to every single buyer, manually telling them about the price change. When the technology comes online, we will be cutting out the middlemen and the distributors, allowing the retailers to go direct to the brands. Our margins will jump from 15% to around 30%. The real answer is, of that 15% markup, our margin, the cost right now ultimately will probably be around, 5% to 6% per transaction.
So if you're going to break even this year, presumably you'll be profitable next year?
Yes.
What is the need for the follow-on $3 million raise?
We got to grow.
Which of course would make, somebody investing in this round a little nervous.
Yeah, right. Understood. It shouldn't. I hope it wouldn't. Basically, it's a land grab. Getting all these brands right now, we have to be as diligent, as aggressive as possible, because now that international is a thing. When we first started doing this about 5 years ago, brands wouldn't give us any attention. Oh, international is a pet project. Why would someone want our organic vegan fish in Europe? No one even in there wants it, and it wasn't the true. Finally, after 5 years now, people are realizing and waking up that the potential for sales abroad is greater than the potential for sales here at home. And so for us to get to where we want to be, which is $1 billion company, we can't do it bowing on a budget.
Why would you be willing to give up 50% of your company right now? I'm sorry, I'm speaking low.
It's not.
Why would you be willing to give up 50% of your company right now if at this point?
Would we be willing to give up 50% of the company?
I'm saying, why would you? That's the numbers you
like the 500,000 is the $3 million he hopes to raise next year. He hasn't set a value.
We have not set a value for
so
Series
you're
A
asking for 500 right now.
Yeah, 500 right now at that value.
That's on the 6 if you do more than
yeah.
Okay.
Is there any concern, there's a lot of tariff activity in the U.S. right now, less of a pro-trade view than has historically been the case. Will any of that impact you? And on top of that, will the subsidies you receive from the government, are those in danger of going away?
Great question. The first answer to the question, I'm really happy you brought this up, are the tariffs that are being set, they don't necessarily impact us today. Under 5% of our business goes to China. So we're doing business, and the world is a very big place. There's a lot of opportunity. And just because there's a tariff on one product, we've got many products in our catalog. So we can kind of navigate around these tariffs. And we're not really too worried about it, and there's still the market demand for what we're doing. We're just drops in the bucket for the potential that we can capture. So we're optimistic that as of right now, the tariffs are not as big of a threat. The biggest threat in some regard, but even still isn't even that big of a threat, is some countries and some places have made in America boycotts. And you're seeing that pop up, but even still, it's so minuscule, it's another drop in the bucket. It doesn't really sway us. We're seeing a lot of demand for what we're doing.
So the flashing red light is telling me it's time for me to jump in again and say, there's an ask on the table. You've heard Peter's pitch. Any interest in making an offer, either on the terms he suggested or countering?
To me, it's a little early, and the financials are a little more opaque than I'd like to see at this point. I'll take a pass.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see the revenue model developed a little bit more before I would invest in the company.
It's a pretty exciting and a very large addressable market. But I think I agree with the guys that we need to develop it. I'm still a little bit off on exactly what the contracts with the producers would be, the brands themselves, and how that would flow. So there's probably some detail that needs to be fleshed out here.
All right, going once. Twice. Peter?
Guys, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Peter. All right, good job, sir. All right, we're 0 for 2. Let's see if we can't finish on a high note before the bar opens up. So I'll now welcome to the stage Jim O'Connell from M&I, Advanced Medical Nutrition. Good luck, a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure.
Hi everyone, I'm Jim O'Connell, CEO and co-founder of M&I, and I'm excited to be here. M&I is focused on medical nutrition. We have patents issued, clinical data published, and a commercial-ready product that I'll describe in more detail. $15 million in non-dilutive funding has gone into developing our technology to date. We're raising up to a $3.2 million Series A. We have a term sheet signed with much of the round committed and a little bit left that I'll talk to the Lions about shortly. Allow me to start by introducing the team. The founder of M&I is Dr. Virginia Stalling. She's a world expert in clinical nutrition. She's on the board of Danone and also has advised many large and small companies on their nutritional initiatives. She believes that the innovation that M&I is developing is the most important in medical nutrition that she's seen in decades. My background, I spent 7 years in venture capital. Prior, I held operating roles in R&D, manufacturing, sales, marketing, and business development in 2 successful startups and a Fortune 500 company. You can see on the right the group of world-class advisors that we've assembled. We're addressing a massive market with significant unmet needs. Over 1 billion people have a digestive disease. Many others have unintentional weight loss or difficulty gaining weight. It all comes down to an inability to absorb enough calories. This causes developmental issues in children, chronic malnutrition in adults, and can accelerate the progression of disease. Our LXS structured lipid is the most efficient way to deliver calories. It enables the absorption of the good dietary fats and precision nutrients without the need for digestion. This is our first product. It's been extensively tested in patients. It's a tasteless powder that can be mixed easily in a variety of foods and beverages. Patients put it in peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, in orange juice. It is designed for long-term patient compliance. The structured lipid within the powder consists of 3 components, all plant-based. No modifications or approvals are needed for us to launch this product. This is our competition. Patients that can't absorb the needed long-chain fats today have to consume medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs. MCTs have a number of deficiencies. They offer no real nutritional value, but they are processed differently and they do offer a source of some calories for these patients. Our LXS structured lipid can replace them across an entire spectrum of $20 billion worth of medical nutrition products that contain MCTs today. Our product was in a large clinical study that was funded by the NIH in patients with cystic fibrosis. It used the same clinical endpoint, a coefficient of fat absorption, as the leading biotech product, enzyme replacement therapy. This is a reimbursable endpoint. And you can see the key takeaways at the bottom. The fats in the powder were absorbed as anticipated. However, LXS also helped patients absorb more fats and nutrients from the meals they are consuming. All the patients in the study were taking enzymes, which is a $2 billion drug class. For the first time, patients taking our product started to, unprompted, lower their enzyme dose. This results, the 20% reduction results in about a $400 million savings for payers and exceeds what we plan to charge for the product. Probably most importantly, patients with the highest clinical need, those with the lowest BMIs, were the best responders to our product and absorbed the most fats. This gives us confidence that we'll be able to help these patients avoid the need for tube feeding or reverse the need for tube feeding for those on it. We'll launch into cystic fibrosis and expand into other indications. Within CF, almost all patients take pancreatic replacement enzymes and would benefit from using our product. CF centers are now placing up to 20% of their patients on overnight tube feeding just for calorie supplementation because there are no other options. CF is highly organized. There are 120 CF centers in the US that we can detail on a small, focused sales force. And CF as an entry point represents about $100 million in addressable revenue for us. We'll expand into other indications that are orders of magnitude larger. Over 1 billion people have a digestive condition that could benefit from our product. Also, as we age, digestion becomes less efficient. 10% of everybody over age 65 develops frailty syndrome, characterized primarily by unintentional weight loss. For patients with cancer, 25% of all patients will lose their appetite. 90% of patients with advanced cancer develop cachexia or wasting syndrome. We can help these patients and many others. We can also use our structured lipid to enter other product categories. All tube feed formulas contain MCTs. We believe we can develop a superior tube feed formula, replacing the MCTs with our LXS structured lipid, and take a sizable piece of the $12 billion market. We can also develop a suite of infant nutrition products that accelerate weight gain in premature infants and help the absorption of the needed essential fatty acids. I provided summary financials that we believe are achievable, and I'd point out that if we only stay focused on powder and stay in cystic fibrosis, we have a path to $100 million in revenue and can generate a venturable exit for our investors. M&I is not limited to one or two potential acquirers or even one or two classes of acquirers. There's been a convergence of interest in health products that offer meaningful health benefits. Nestle recently sold their entire confectionery business. They're running phase 3 clinical studies now to gain health claims. Clorox spent $300 million recently buying a digestive health company. If you think about what M&I is developing, with infant nutrition products for the earliest stages in life, a powder for children, adolescents, adults, and seniors, and a tube feed formula for more invasive conditions will touch a patient across the larger company's entire product portfolio and offer tremendous synergy. I'll end with our Series A financing slide. We have a term sheet signed. It will allow us the financing to build out our team, commence manufacturing, and commercially launch our product. Use of proceeds is over on the right. And our ask, we have about $1.6 million committed of an up to $3.2 million round. We're here to talk to the sharks about the remaining amount. Our syndicate has 4 institutional investors committed, in addition to management and angels. We have a $10 million pre-money valuation. Again, $15 million has gone into developing the technology to date. And the structure of the round is participating preferred with cumulative dividends that investors generally like. Not so much the entrepreneurs. With that, I will stop and open it up to the Lions for questions.
Jim, I get the NIH funding the study. How did the other 7 or 8 million that you guys raised, where did it come from and what was it used for?
Sure, so as brief history, the inventor of the technology started decades ago. His daughter went off to college and her roommate had CF. As he would visit, he would watch this young woman with CF eat everything she could, and she was wasting away and eventually succumbed to the disease after graduating. That's what inspired him to start working on this. Over the years, he's raised, mostly the money has been through grants. Almost all of it has been through grants. Some has been through funded collaborations, but they've been through a variety of different grants.
Got it. Could you bring up the financial slide just one more time?
Sure.
It was quick.
And does that assume just the CF market, or is that a broader market?
No, this, for the first 9 months, it's CF only. As clinical dietitians see the product working, they'll be able to recommend the product across other pancreatic disorders or other disease areas. We don't start to fold in any of that additional revenue and powder until 9 to 12 months after launch. So this does include some of the other indications that powder.
It does include it in 2020 and 21, right?
I'm sorry, what was that?
It does include other diseases or other uses in
It does, right. Other pancreatic conditions especially.
Got it.
It does not include ex-US sales.
Great.
So Jim, what is the sales and distribution model? How do you get to that 2 million plus in?
Oh, sure. So the way that the sales model will work is there are 120 CF centers in the US. We'll have a small sales force. We'll go out, and the clinical dietitian is our call point. The clinical dietitian is a core member of every CF patient's care team. Every patient with CF has a clinical dietitian they see. The clinical dietitian may go into the CF center 2 days a week to see patients, but have their own practice or go into a cancer center. So the clinical dietitian is who we're targeting. The way that we approach the financials, I think, are we're assuming 1 CF center per month per sales rep to detail. So we think that's reasonable and easy to achieve. 10 CF centers is in our first quarter. They were already in the study. They're ready to go. So we think we have our first quarter locked up.
I have a very good friend and partner who has a child that was born with the CF gene and goes through it. And one of the things I've learned is
parents of children with CF are intensely focused on self-education and how to improve it. So what strategies do you have around, beyond the dietitian, to hit those parents? Because many of them are very capable of processing the implications of this as a lifesaver.
Yeah, we think CF, again, it's unique. I looked at a lot of disease areas in Venture, and I think the patient interest and coordination, the compliance they have is very different in CF. We have a long-standing relationship with the CF Foundation. The CF Foundation runs kind of the industry standard conference every year. My co-founder has been a long-time collaborator, and she actually authored the nutritional guidelines for children with CF that are still in place today. We have an unfair advantage in CF. She has a number of relationships with the top KOLs as well. So we have a number of ideas about how we will reach the thought-leading doctors, the clinical dietitians, and kind of spur adoption far ahead of our sales reps' ability to get into CF centers. We think word will travel faster.
Jim, your raise isn't going to cover next year's loss. So
a little bit of the rationale behind the size of the raise. So we need to restart manufacturing, build out the team, and for the first 6 months or so, there's not a lot that we can do differently depending on the amount of capital that we raise. You know, we're kind of locked in for the first 6 months. Where additional capital would help us is how quickly we expand. When speaking with investors, we got the message that they would much rather us get to revenue stage. So this round will take us into the later half of next year. We'll have 2-3 quarters of revenue under our belt. We'll have patients that can be diligenced, patient experience. We'll have clinician experience that can be diligenced. So we'll be raising a Series B as a revenue stage company with great data supporting it. So we think that we'll fit the criteria. We'll also have a filled out team. So we'll fit the criteria of what a lot of investors look for in a Series B. So we think it'll be a clear step up for the Series A investors in valuation.
Right, the Series A, you're going out for 3.2 and you've already got 1.6 million of commitments?
That's right.
Got it, okay.
Did we hear what the valuation was?
So the valuation is a 10 million pre, and again, it's participating
Did you say
preferred.
10?
10 million pre, with participating preferred and cumulative dividends, for the investors.
What's the dividend rate?
I can't remember. I think 8% standard.
who's the lead?
The lead is BioAdvance. And Ben Franklin Technology Partners is committed, CHOP has committed, and an angel group in Kansas City is committed. And we have others that are close to making a decision, we hope this week or next.
Can you talk just a second about the co-founder, the one
Sure,
who's-
Virginia Stallings, she founded M&I, she owns over 50%.
Great.
She owns how much?
Over 50%.
Okay.
All right, so we've got a couple minutes left here. He's looking to fill out the round. He's looking to raise another, 1.6 million. Can the Lions help close that gap?
I don't know if I'm going to fill out the round, but I'm certainly interested in doing something. So I'm interested to see what my colleagues are interested in here.
Yeah, subject to due diligence, I'd be interested in committing 100K into the round.
Excellent.
All right. The remarkable thing to me is in the area of food science, so little good work is being done. You routinely hear claims for things. In this case, it's claims for coconut oil. We see claims all the time in commercials for probiotics, and there's almost little or no science behind it. And in this company, we're seeing some of the best science in the world supporting products. And I see a lot of success with these long chain fats relative to CF and infant disorders. We see much happening beyond that, but I see you guys building an engine of food research that if it can have application far beyond this and be extremely attractive to a large buyer in a relatively short time frame. We're prepared to commit $300,000 to this particular investment.
Yes.
Hey.
Thank you.
400. So now you're filling it
well.
300.
I'll do the same.
300 as well.
I'll match Jonathan. I'm a puppy compared to
100. Okay. So quick math. We've got 800 on the table.
We can do 50.
50 from our 850s.
That's a lot for us.
It's a little more than half the gap. That's pretty good.
Thank you, Lions.
Well, great. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening as well.
Well, everyone, I'll turn it back over to the sponsors of the conference. But first, want to thank the three companies for presenting. As you'd imagine, it's hard to come up and in 15 minutes convince somebody to open up their wallet and invest $100,000 or $300,000 or $50,000. So it takes a lot of guts to try to negotiate around. So one more round of applause for all the entrepreneurs here tonight.